All beliefs do not have to be followed. Others' beliefs do not have to be obeyed or followed or given any attention. My beliefs are owed no attention. When I don't attend to or offer any validation to my beliefs, they kind of stop being beliefs. They kind of get ripped out of the ground a bit, and the roots are still in the ground, but it's loose. Like it's inevitable that after a couple windy days, windy storms, it gets blown over more and more, and the roots kind of just come out. It's like it becomes like a tumbleweed. The roots are no longer hooked in the soil, and so just weather, circumstance, time, exposure loosens the the belief tree more and more. And also the experience of the belief running us, the roots, the hooks, we can call this identification. This loosens. There's a process where all thoughts can be seen as beliefs if they're believed. A belief is just a thought that's really, we call it rooted. And the roots are an illusion too. The roots are an illusion, but for practical purposes, we'll say they're rooted. It's not actually there. The rootedness of it. It's just like some kind of habit, which pragmatically speaking makes it. We can call it rooted. We can call it a belief. And really rooted beliefs. I mean, that's what the identity is. It's beliefs at different levels of different degrees of rootedness. So in that way, there is no identity of its own. There is no self of its own. Everything is made up of thought, and there's this illusion where it seems like the self is thinking thoughts, and even once you see that the self is just a collection of thoughts as well, my experience was that before I understood the mechanics of this stuff, and I was just sort of cowboy, just exploring my psyche and inquiring without guidance, like what I'm saying now. I thought that, or it's not that I thought, it appeared to me that the self, although being perhaps just a collection of thoughts, which is a huge leap, by the way, to even be able to see that for an instant, that's huge. And a lot gets unrooted just by seeing that, the more we see it. We can still tend to see that collection of thoughts as somehow at a different level than other thoughts. And so it seems that that collection of thoughts we call a self, or like our identity, or a personality, or a character, or us, that it's the source of other thoughts. And that's actually not true, just apparently. So, as we entertain, consider to be open to that not being true, we see, like, is it actually at a different level? Is it somehow more fundamental? Is it, here's the key question, is this self that I'm now able to observe, which great work if you can, truly. If you can now observe the self and thoughts and see them as different, now see, is this actually different? So the answer here is that they're actually on the same playing field. There's a, and you could learn about this with like neuroscience too. In the last 10 years, 15 years, there's been awesome experiments where through MRI imaging, we can see that the decision to do something or to even thinking a thought always appears before the awareness of it. So that a decision being made or a thought being thought thunk appears before the conscious awareness that that decision was made or the thought was thought. And with that conscious awareness of the decision or of the thought comes a voice in the head or a thought that I did that I decided or that I thought that. And when it's really strong, this actually tends to be even louder than the initial thought itself. Because the mind can notice things and make evaluations without it being claimed by me that I did it. And oftentimes that evaluation is very wispy and faint, and then there'll be a proclamation, sort of like the king coming out to make an announcement to the townspeople that he has vanquished some beast that was terrorizing the countryside. Meanwhile, he had hunters that were professionals that did it, but the king claims and comes out and claims that I did it or I defeated the foe, when it was his soldier on the battlefield that killed the enemy. But then the king or the I or this identity says, "Oh, this is I did it," because if it happened in this body, well, this body is my body. I'm the king of this body, and so I dictate everything that happens in this body. And just to continue the joke, it's that I'm so good that I'm breathing and running this heart and doing all the organ activities without even knowing it. That's how intelligent I am. All the body's activities are happening of their own. All the impulses are happening. All thoughts are happening of their own. The thought that I'm doing it, that comes after almost every thought, basically every thought, that's happening of its own too. And just to go a little deeper for a moment, or more expansive, everything in the quote unquote external to our body is just happening spontaneously too. When we stop labeling it, it's just phenomena. When we recognize, like, I don't know what any of this is, like, I'm just born, I just entered the simulation, all this stuff's happening, I don't know what any of it is. Just people tell me what it is. I'm a baby. Adults tell me what the world is. Like, hey, welcome, you're new. This is what everything is. But they have no reference to know what anything is either. they were just babies who then got told what it is, and it's just a pyramid scheme where everyone just tells each other what things are because they have seniority, they've been around longer. But they just got told by the people who are senior to them, and it goes back infinitely until it was just bacteria, and then before life and Big Bang and all that. And so there was never someone who actually knew what anything was. Everything. So there isn't a label, an actual label, or knowledge to label anything. It's all just stuff that for each of us, it's like our experience is that stuff's just here. So it's just like that with the the body and the mind and thoughts and emotions. It's all just arising, and no one's controlling it. You see, it's just happening. It's a world that's happening. It's a world that's happening. The sense of self includes not just thoughts that say I, me, my, I did this, I thought this, I feel this way, not just thoughts that say that, but it's also like a sensation. So for me, there's kind of like a mouth sensation. Like I'm aware of my mouth and throat, um, and I'm aware of like a tension in my head and a fullness in my chest. And that's how I know I'm here. I say that in quotes. That's how I know I exist. I know I'm here. Partly because the voice is part of socializing, and so I believe I exist as a self, a real thing, because it's like in relation to others, and I'm in relation to others partly through the voice. That's how I know I'm here. I'm mistaking that the body is here, and thoughts are here. The ability to do problems, the ability to interact, all these social instincts, those are here, obviously. But a self, that's not actually necessary. And it's not real. It's not really happening. It's fine to, I mean, it's accurate to when I say I'm referring to this body mind. That's fine. It's more than fine. It's like, how else am I gonna delineate uh, myself from anything else socially? It's practical, obviously. The ego, as a sort of totally separate thing, though, from that, as an identity, as a that's who I am, that's not necessary. It's not accurate, and it's completely unnecessary. I refers to this body mind, fine, and soul, and whatever you want to, the individuality of this organism, including a soul that may or may not inhabit it, according to your own experience, or beliefs, whatever. I'm not asking you to believe anything. I'm not. If you experience a soul, then I invite you to investigate that deeply. I don't know what you'll find. I'd be interested to know what you find personally. um, but it's not about believing in this or that, or believing in a self or not self. Like it's about just seeing it, seeing what's what, investigating, inquiring, seeing if what I'm saying is true or not. And I'll do another video soon on free will and how I'll kind of guide us through investigating that. A lot of us, can intellectually be on board with seeing that there's not free will. However, experiencing oneself and one's activities that way is something to experientially inquire into and observe, like in a scientific way, not a intellectual way, but a scientific, actual testing manner. So that's good for now. Next video will be about belief in general. This has been about self and the belief, self as a belief as a thought or collection of thoughts, habitual. And there's a lot to talk about with belief. So check out the next video.